Today I'm going to go over one of my newer factions in my kingdom, the Wolf Knights. When I first saw the tax collector's torso and legs and the vast amount of purple it had, I knew I had seen this color before, so I went through my collection and found my old Wolf Knights from the Knights Kingdom 2 era. And with that came a huge spark of joy for me. Let's dive into the figures and I'll tell some lore along the way. With their honor ruined and cast out from the Lion Kingdom, the Wolf Knight royal family sought help from their desert allies who held them in high regards. Bound by honor, they were taken in. Meanwhile, the former Viscount is on a quest with his eldest son to regain his honor. With a few noblemen and a faithful wizard by his side, he seeks to undo what has been done to them. Although this cannot be said for many of the former Wolf Knights who found other ways to make ends meet after the fall of their once prosperous house. Starting off with the figures with some light infantry, both of them have tax collector torsos and legs as their base and then slightly branching out. Now since they're in charge of carrying provisions for their leader's journey, you'll see they'll both be carrying some type of bag. On the left we got a bag on the back followed by one of the same helmets we see from the new Griffin Knights and a standard sword. On the right we got a side satchel followed by a blank shield and spear. Due to them being exiled, not all soldiers will have the best gear, so a wooden shield will have to do. Lastly, a beautiful Johnny Thunderface with a standard nasal helm on top to finish him off. These guys aren't too special, but I always love making every figure of mine a little bit different, even down to the most standard light infantrymen. Moving on to some archers, here we have a trio, two of which are crossbowmen, and the last remaining longbowmen of the Wolf Knights faction. For the crossbowmen, we got two standard crossbowmen who stayed loyal. Being lower on their totem pole though, their skills aren't as refined as the archer. That being said, they both got the tax collector as their base, plus kettle helms, quivers, and crossbows. I like to use that harpoon piece to act as a crossbow bolt or arrows for my archers or crossbowmen, so you'll see this in a lot of my videos. For the archer, he also uses the tax collector torso, turned backwards though, with some pants I got off Bricklink. I thought the bottom part of these pants looked like some boots, so I got a few to test out with these figures. He then has that beautiful peasant hood that I rock with a lot of my archers, a quiver, and a standard bow. If you haven't yet, try flipping your torsos around for some variety amongst your ranks. You'll see that I do this with a lot of my factions. As far as a purple faction, we don't have a lot of variety here, so this helps out a lot. Before we get to the royal family, let's take a look at a couple more unique figures. First, we got one of the former champions of the Wolf Knights. He uses that tax collector torso still, but with some Ninjago legs. And honestly, I love this combo. Then to make him a little bit more ruthless, I gave him this purple and red wolf's head from the Ninjago line as well. And to stick with that wolf theme, I gave him some of the sand-colored claws and an Egyptian sword, since he's a protector of the royal family that is now housed in the desert faction. As far as who my desert faction is though, they're going to stay nameless for the time being. But let me know in the comments how you feel about using this Ninjago wolf mask with this faction. I know it can be a hot topic sometimes using Ninjago pieces with castle figures. Now for the magician of the group, I like to get a little more creative with, because magicians give me that free reign into some fantasy elements that my regular soldiers can't have. This magician in particular acts as the ruler's right hand. She advises him and travels along with the redemption force. And although she is an advisor, she specializes in two-hand battle mage combat, using this long pike not only to fend off foes, but to also cast special magic attacks. For the figures, she's based off of the Dungeons & Dragons Tiefling Sorcerer. I love this purple torso and legs and knew I had to bring them into this faction somehow. And it's far too fancy to use on an ordinary soldier or civilian. On her back, I added another one of those bags or buckets since she's traveling alongside the leader. And on top of that, just a brown hood piece to match. I try to include at least one wizard per faction, kind of like how it is in the Witcher series. I love that concept, but am still working with the idea overall. Now for the royal family, but let's start with the younger kids. We got two brothers who are upcoming in age and trying to become warriors themselves like their eldest and the father. Both use the tax collector as their base, and then I swapped out the legs on the right one to bring in some variety. If you know where these legs come from, please let me know. I honestly have no idea. Now, since their home is now in the desert, I gave them both a cream-colored rapier and made their scarves match their hands. I also made sure to give them hair rather than helmets. I typically do this for people of importance in my kingdoms. Now, for their sisters, they're a little more eccentric in their own ways. Now, the older sister's a little paranoid and keeps her trusty dagger on her at all times ever since overcoming their exile from the Lion Kingdom. She seeks to be married, but because of their status, no suitors have yet to come. As the base, I used the Marvel CMF figure. I think her name was Agatha. I'm unsure, I don't dabble into Marvel too much, but I love this torso and leg combo. I then swapped the face and the hair to look a little more princess-like, and then topped her off with one of my favorite daggers from the Prince of Persia. As for the other sister, being the youngest, she doesn't know the hardship and has been raised mostly in the Desert Kingdom. Her love for art and knowledge has overcome her, as she attends the university since this land is known for its scholars. For the torso, I actually picked this up at a Bricks and Minifigs, and figured one day I could possibly do something with it. I didn't have any great legs to match, so I just used some purple legs with some gray hips. And then I gave her this Star Wars cape that a subscriber actually gave to me when I met up to trade with him. Shout out to him, he knows who he is. I'm glad I could find a use for this, and I think it goes well for a scholarly cloak. To round out this figure, I had many extra books from my Tasha the Witch Queen figures, so I ended up using one here. And honestly, once this figure's fully together and the cloak's on, you can't even notice that the pants aren't printed, so I wasn't too worried about it. Now last but not least, we have the oldest Wolf Knights of my collection. We got the leader of the Wolf Knights and his heir. Now both are based off of the Danju figure from the Knights Kingdom 2, using 2 of his wolf armor pieces and helmet. For the son, I gave him some legs that looked like they had plate armor on them, with some lighter color boots. I figured it would make sense since they're now based out of the desert. Then I gave him one of the longswords from the Series 27 Beastmaster with a short gladius in his offhand. I don't have any Wolf Knight shields unfortunately, so this is the best I could come up with. I do wish I could find the other purple armor piece from this era one day to give the two some more variety. As for the leader, I added the tax collector legs and the cape from the Marvel CMF to get some more matching purple accessories. I mean, he is the leader, he needs to have a cloak or something, right? To round him out, I made sure he still had the Danju face and a classic greatsword from the Knights Kingdom 2 era to stay true to the figure somewhat. It isn't every day I keep some figures mostly intact, but after building a whole faction based off of him, I figured I would only upgrade the parts I needed to. And that's my whole Wolf Knight faction. Let me know what you think of the tidbits of my lore throughout the video. I do want to make some purely lore-based videos in the future, but I've just been dying to get some out there for you all. Thank you all so much for sticking around to see some of my own personal kingdom. I can't wait to show you more on here, so please like and subscribe to see more medieval LEGO content.